Hey guys! So today I really wanted to talk about 10 things that I wish I knew when I was a freshman here at Harvard. And this is mainly because I know that the class of 2023 decisions came out I think on Thursday. So if you happen to be someone who was admitted to the class of 2023 at Harvard, congratulations! I'm so excited. I don't know if you can tell, like I'm really excited because you're going to be the last first year class that I get to interact with because I'll be graduating. And yeah, can you tell that I'm sad? So, without any more fluff, let's get into the video. My first thing that I wish I knew when I was a freshman here at Harvard. Freshman year doesn't define your college experience. I think freshman year as a concept has so much weight attached to it, so people come in and think that, you know, if your year goes great, then you might think that, oh yeah, like I know exactly how things work. Ooh, not true. If you have a really sucky freshman year, like I personally had a really bad freshman year, I know how it feels to be like, was I like good enough? Like how did I get in here? Like imposter syndrome, that kind of thing. An important thing to know is that your freshman year doesn't define the rest of your college experience. You are thrown into this completely different world, so many different variables. Obviously there are points of it that are going to be really tough, and then you're obviously going to have some fun too. Just like anything in life, like you shouldn't just take this first year of your time at Harvard to be like the constant. You will change. So yeah, I hope that's reassuring to hear. So the second thing I wish I knew when I first came here as a freshman was that Harvard is really strange. You have to comp clubs, which basically means that you can't just like join a club. You have to go through this process of like doing requirements, and like for certain things, like for the Crimson has a really inclusive comp, but depending on what track you want to be in. So I was an illustrator, so I comped like design illustration. There was a series of like assignments that I had to do every like week or every 2 weeks, and all these comp meetings, and then by the end of it, like if you made it through the comp, you would be like an official member of the Crimson, if that makes sense. But I know that other clubs have really rigorous comp processes where it's not just about fulfilling the requirements, but like they have cuts. So you might make it through the first stage of the comp, or you know, you might make it through to the second stage of the comp and get cut. And I think it sounds scary, it's not. Like I think you'll learn that depending on who you are as a person, like some comps might be worth like putting in all of this time, and then other comps you'll just realize like, look, like I just don't even care enough about this thing. The only reason I mention it is because I had no idea what a comp was until I came here. I didn't realize that I would have to like basically apply to every single club again, and it does speak to the kind of elitism at the school, but you know, there are a bunch of clubs that you don't have to comp, like the Crimson, or like you don't have to get cut from, like the Crimson. And so I would say after the first few weeks, figure out what is worth spending your time on, and only comp like 1 or 2 things, guys, because it's just, these comps take up so much time, and then with college work and all that kind of stuff, like you don't want to be stressing yourself out too much. So kind of along those lines, my third tip is to just follow your passions. I came into Harvard being like, oh, I really want to do film. And then very quickly I got swept along with the crowd. I feel so stupid saying this now, but all my friends are doing engineering, so I was like, okay, like I'm gonna try it too. So I did engineering for like a year and a half before I realized that it's really not what I wanted to do. And then I briefly got into film and then backed away from it because I was like, oh my god, like I'm an international student and I want to stay in America, and how am I gonna like get a job if I'm studying film? So I like bounced out of it again, and then I went back into film after a one semester hiatus in neuroscience. So point of the story is to follow your passions. Like college is such a beautiful time because you have all of this academic freedom to really just jump into any subject. And if there's something that you've always wanted to try, don't hold back from it. Don't force yourself to do something because you think that it's going to get you a job one day. You should do whatever you want, and whatever you end up loving and spending the most time on becomes like the thing that you will do anything for. Like for me in film, I know right now that if I were still in the engineering department, I just didn't care about it. I didn't understand anything. I was really confused. It's like that meme, the one with the woman like doing the equations. That was me every day, and I would watch YouTube videos during class. So now with film, it doesn't even feel like I'm in class because I'm so engaged. And I love it so much that it doesn't feel like work, and I know that I'm going to try as hard as I can to make it my future. My fourth tip is to take interesting courses. Guys, there are so many cool courses here, from like the science of cooking to like the whole folklore and mythology like department, and then even some really interesting film classes. There is just so much on offer, and even if you're into science, like one of my favorite courses to this day was this course I took called Hormones and Behavior, and it sounds boring, but like it was the first time in my life that I realized that the link between like science and like how we interact as humans, and like how childhood trauma can actually change like the way that your neural networks form and all of these really cool things. And it's kind of the reason why I took that 1 semester hiatus into neuroscience. Just, you know, do your research and figure out what courses you want to do, and do the ones that make you happy and are things that you actually want to learn about, because life is too short, guys. Number 5 is go to office hours, because I also didn't know what office hours were until I came to college. And I think, you know, I think there are kids here who, well, students here I should say, I think there are students here who know what office hours are and what comps are, because they're like siblings will go to Ivy League schools and they go to really rich schools in the middle of New York, and they're told everything there is to know about college before they even get there. I didn't have that. There are these things called office hours where the professor holds an open office, and basically anyone can come in at any time with any questions, whether it's about the homework or just about a concept you don't understand, or you just want to get to know the professor, whatever, you can just go talk to the professor. And when I finally went to like office hours, it was like, oh, like the professor would sit down with you and be like, okay, like they would prompt you basically like, oh, you figure this part out, like have you considered this equation that we looked at in class? And I'm like, oh, I get it now, you know? So like make the use of that, and also like getting to know your professors. I know freshman year is like really early, but like these people could potentially be the ones writing your recommendations for jobs and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to go to grad school, like it's a good idea to be close to your professors, but also just to like get to know them and get to know their story. Like I said, that hormones and behavior class, I'm a film major now, but that professor, I will always remember her, and I really enjoyed the time that she took and that I took to get to know her. And that I will always remember that as a special connection. Number 6, and this is a really real one, is that you might experience homesickness. I feel like no one really talks about this. I know that I, as a freshman, I was the most homesick I've ever been in my life. Like, I spent the first 18 years of my life being like, okay, like, as soon as I turn 18, I want to leave home, like, I want to go study in a different country, like, I don't want to live my whole life in one place, because then I just feel like that would be boring. And then, as soon as I left home, it hit me like a ton of bricks, like, oh my god, my family, I'd never lived away from my family before. I was like, oh no, like, literally a mess, cried so much about it, kind of pain, also colored my freshman year because I was extremely depressed that I had left home, basically. I hadn't adjusted, I was very aware of the fact that I would never be a child at home again and be able to spend all that time with my parents. But point is that a lot of people experience homesickness, and you're not alone, and if you do experience that, it's so easy, especially at Harvard. There's this way of painting freshman year as this super happy, like rainbow, like, you know, like time, and for a lot of us it's not. And I just want you to know that you might be one of those people that has an amazing freshman year, but if you happen to not be, that's fine, and it's 100% okay to miss your family. Even right now, if you are close to 2023 and you're like preparing to, like, you know, leave home, like think about that, because that's a huge change and you don't have to feel ashamed about it. It's completely normal. So number 7 is another real one that I struggled with, is that sharing space is really hard. And as a freshman, at least at Harvard, it is really rare that you'll get a single to yourself. And then if you do have singles in your suite, usually there's a system where you have to like allocate, like, oh, who gets a single for what amount of time, so people usually like switch around. Personally, like I'd shared a room with my sister the whole time I was growing up, so I know what sharing space is like. I was housed with people who had never done that and came from completely different backgrounds to me, and kind of expected that they would have their own rooms. And things got really tense. I'm not gonna lie, my roommate experience freshman year, I had 2 roommates, is pretty much what caused my freshman year to be so sucky. But at the same time, I say that with a grain of salt, because I know so many people whose freshman year roommates ended up being their best friends. It is, you know, it is tricky, and you will have to like adjust and get to know other people and their living habits. And it's a part of life, guys, because like you're not always going to have the privilege of living in a place where you get to call all the shots and you get to make all the decisions. I also think it's one of those things that as someone coming into the school, like, you should know that, because you'll be prepared. Because I definitely came in thinking that I was going to have this like dream-like American roommate experience where, you know, we sit up and, you know, like have sleepovers and pillow fights and all these crazy things that you see in the movies, but that was definitely, we had fights, we didn't have pillow fights. My 8th tip is counseling and mental health. It's such a great resource on this campus, and I feel like it's not really talked about. And especially as a first year, like you're experiencing so much change. It's so easy to get, you know, overwhelmed and just really stressed out. I experienced a lot of stress my freshman year, so much more stress than I've ever experienced in my life. We're all like used to being the best at whatever it is at our old school, so when you come to a place like this where everyone on paper has like all these great academic achievements, and like there are some people here who have done way more than I could have ever dreamed of doing when I was 18 years old in high school, it's easy to feel so overwhelmed. And basically what I'm trying to say is, I think the statistic at Harvard is that 40% of undergrads have at some point like sought out mental health resources. There are resources, they're free with everyone's health plan that Harvard gives you. Like you get 8 free sessions I think, and then after that there's like a very small copay that you can pay for therapy and counseling. And then there are all these other like peer counseling groups that are really like low commitment. You just kind of go, and you can go in at any time, and there's a hotline as well, so you can call them if you don't want to like go in and talk to someone. That's something I really wish I knew before, because I definitely let myself kind of simmer in my own like agony for a long time before I got help. Number 9 is this thing. I don't know if it's a Harvard thing or an Ivy League thing or just an American school thing, because I know a lot of my friends in the UK did not have this issue, but it's like, it's so okay to not do some big thing your freshman summer, okay? It's the one year where there's like the least amount of pressure on you to go like work for Goldman Sachs, okay? You don't need to do that. I felt so much pressure to have something that I worried myself sick. Like I cried so much because I was like, I don't even know what I want to do. Like I don't even know what my major really is. Like I don't know what I want to do this summer. And I ended up applying to this thing where I got to go to Brazil for 2 months, and I volunteered in a very poor like neighborhood, and I got to teach kids like English, and it was, honestly I wouldn't have traded it for the world now in hindsight, but I just still remember feeling so stressed out stupidly. Like I didn't have to go and do that. Like I didn't have to feel the pressure to leave home and like not be at home, but I kind of forced myself to, because I was afraid that if I didn't do that I would be like lacking in some way. At the time felt kind of bad because there were other people who were doing like, you know, who were doing internships, and I still haven't done an internship. I'm doing my first internship this summer as a junior in college. Don't feel pressured to kind of jump on the bandwagon and find like all of these amazing things to do. If you want to just go home and finally get the sleep that you've been lacking for the whole freshman year, go home and do that. There is absolutely no pressure, and you should feel comfortable making whatever decision it is that you want to do for your freshman summer. So my last tip is really cheesy. Tip number 10 is that I wish I knew how much I was going to change. But me at the end of freshman year was so different to who I was at the beginning of my freshman year. Wow, that was a really weird sentence. Basically, you end up changing a lot because of all of these new things. You're going to meet all these great people. You're going to meet some really awful people. You're going to be in contact with like, you know, social life at Harvard. You're going to like join some clubs. You're going to go and do all of these great things, and you will change. You're not going to be the same person that kind of stepped through Johnston Gates the first day of opening days. That's the whole point of college. I really do think that college is a time where you have all of these opportunities floating around and opportunities to learn, and you basically learn a lot about yourself and formulate, you know, who is it that you want to be, and what contribution do you want to give to society, if any at all, and what's important to you, and you reflect on all your values, and it's just such an amazing time for self-exploration and discovery. Freshman year is one of those times where everyone is trying to like be the same person kind of towards the beginning, and then as the year goes on you kind of realize like you can find your niche, like you can find the people who you connect with and the things that you want to do, and then you just go with it. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed hearing 10 things that I wish I knew at the beginning of freshman year. These I really thought a long time about what I wanted to say for this, because like I said, my freshman year sucked like so bad. And there is a lot that I wish I knew before I came along here. That in mind, if you have any questions about specific things, if you're a course of 2023 at Harvard, or if at any other school and you have questions about what college life is like, I'm so excited for you guys and so happy to answer those questions. So please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!